Radio Podcast. I'm Amber, your host, and we have with us today Edward Cole. Hey, Edward, how are you doing today?
I'm well, and how are you?
I am doing well. Thanks for asking. I really appreciate you coming on to the show today. And, just before we hop into, the business side of things, let's get to know who you are as a person. What do you usually do when you're not, going out and doing the real estate thing?
In that little bit of time that I have, that's free time, I am married. My wife and I enjoy, we have a pool at our house, so the summertime is spent around the pool. I can actually work outside on the pool because the Wi-Fi reaches the edge of the pool. So our backyard, we can sit there and work, enjoy the outside. During the wintertime, we're pretty much inside people. We're in the process of renovating some parts of our house, and I'm interested in technology, so I spend a lot of time reading about that and better understanding that.
That's wonderful, especially with the wonderful weather. I know we're having a really rainy day today, but with the summer coming, we're having a lot more warmer days where you can really enjoy that outside weather. So really wonderful that you can kind of incorporate your work into that.
Yes, yeah, it's a nice quiet area in the backyard. You can hear the birds, and we get a lot of animals that come by. I think we actually treat animals better than we treat people at our house. They get everybody gets fed: the squirrels, the birds, the fox, the raccoon, the skunk. There's a groundhog that has taken up residence in the area, so he's eating a bunch of the flowers and plants that are outside. And then we have the deer that come by at night and chew the heads off the flowers and eat the azaleas, and so everybody gets taken care of.
That sounds so wonderful. That's just a beautiful picture of nature there. And, you mentioned that you do spend a lot of time on real estate. How did you get involved in the industry? How do you get started with something like that?
For me, it was my wife has actually been in the real estate business as an agent longer than I have. And in 2005, prior to getting into real estate, my last job in the corporate world was I was the VP of Sales and Marketing for a company out of Fort Worth, Texas. So I live in southeast Pennsylvania, and so a lot of my time was spent commuting between the two, spending a lot of time in Fort Worth and then flying around the country and North America dealing with the clients and stuff we had. So for the last year, 2004, I had 220 nights away from home, which is pretty much every weekday night in the year. And when my contract was up in 2005, I just decided not to renew. And so my wife said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "I guess I'll just try to find something else." And so she said, "Well, why don't you get your real estate license?" And I said, I've seen what your car looks like. I've seen what your hours look like. I've seen, how life is disrupted. I'm not sure I want to do that because real estate is kind of like being in the retail business. And so finally she convinced me, and the rest is history. So I got my license in 2005, which is a really good time to get into real estate. The market was very vibrant, and pretty much the qualifications to be a real estate agent were your ability to put a sign in the ground. Because as you were taking your foot off the sign, somebody was handing you an agreement of sale over your shoulder on the property, similar to the market that we were in right now. And then I can't really get involved in things if I don't get into them 100%. So it evolved into a real estate sales agent. That I got my broker's license in Pennsylvania. I have a broker's license in Delaware. I also have a license to teach real estate in Pennsylvania. So I teach at the Board of Realtors. I teach some of the continuing education classes and the mandatory classes for license renewal.
That's wonderful. So you really started from, a position where you were not really sure about it, not sure if you were going to like it, and now it seems like you've gotten really far into the industry. Now, what really changed things for you? Was it, just the industry itself? What really sold you on it?
For me, it worked out that, I have this saying that, the harder I work, the luckier I get. And when I got into the business, my wife has never given me, she's never given me a lead, so I haven't taken any business away from her. And we made that decision early that it made no sense to take the pie and divide it up into smaller pieces. Let's make the pie bigger. And so, I had some success early. Obviously, I had, my wife was there if I had any questions. I've been in sales for 30 years, so I understand the process. It was just a matter of getting out there and, working hard and finding areas where, where I saw that there was a lack of people taking care of that particular segment of the business. I would go to places that other people didn't want to go. So, I built a business based on a lot of lower end properties in areas that were not considered good. So I picked up a lot of investors, a lot of first time home buyers. And then that has helped me over the years with these people that, either buy more or they want to take their first house and they're ready for the next house, a bigger house or a better house. And then it goes to referrals, and they refer grandma and the aunts and the uncles. And so that's how my business has grown that way over the years. And I still enjoy it. It's actually, I can say that it's the one position in my working life that I've been at the longest. So I've been doing it for 17 years now.
Well, that's amazing. You really start from really a small, position, and then it really grows. And I think that's a really wonderful thing about the industry, that it's such a referral basis for everything. So if you do a good job, anybody can really do well in the business if, you provide a good service and a good experience for the client. So it seems like it's really one of the more fair industries in that aspect. Everybody kind of has an opportunity to, really take off. And you mentioned also being able to ask questions with your wife and having, her experience to draw from as well. So that's a really beautiful thing that you guys now are in the industry together.
Yep. And we still work together. We each have our own clients, but we still end up seeing each other every day. And pretty much a lot of our conversation revolves around what happened today, what happened in your world, and what's happening tomorrow, that kind of stuff with real estate. So it's worked out well for us. We actually enjoy each other, enjoy the fact that we have something in common, and it works out well.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that you started in 2005. It's only a couple of years before the big crash of '08. How did things change for you, and how did you have to adjust your strategy even going into the market changing so drastically? I know that it's gone up and down a ton of times since then, too.
Well, real estate is a cyclical industry. It goes up and down. It's affected by, lots of things, market forces, economy. All of those things affect real estate. So I had a few good years. So 2005 to 2008 were really good years. I was able to get a lot of experience, grow my business, build a book of clients. And then when the great shift hit in 2008 to 2011 and 12, I looked at the market and saw that there was a group of people that buy no matter what. Doesn't make any difference what the market is doing. They're looking for opportunities, and that's property investors, either buy and hold or buy and flip investors. And so I had gone after getting a bunch of those as clients. So I have a lot of investors as clients, and that kind of carried us through. And then the residential business, there were still people that were buying during that period, and we found our way to survive by branching out a little bit from straight residential sales to doing a lot of investor work, and that worked out well for me. And to this day, a lot of those investors still buy and flip with me, or buy to hold for their portfolio. And so it's that was the way that we kind of survived during that period, and it's still. I treat real estate like a real job. I get up in the morning and I start my day, and I do that all day, many times till 10 or 11 o'clock at night. With real estate, I feel if you want to survive, you've got to put the effort into it, and it's a full-time plus job. But it's rewarding, it's enjoyable, and you can make some money in this business.
That you absolutely can. And going into 2021 and 2022, you mentioned how the market's really similar today to what it was back in '05. How do you think that things are going to go going forward? It's usually a very cyclical business, so do you think it's going to go down?
Well, if we had had this conversation 6 weeks ago, my answer probably would have been a little bit different. But in that period, the Fed has you know upped the prime rate, the lending rate, and so that has affected. Normally, that doesn't directly affect mortgages, but in this case, because of the uncertainty in the marketplace, that has had some impact and it's caused mortgage rates to rise. So, during the last 2.5, 3 years, we've had mortgage rates that were actually lower than were available right after World War II. So when the veterans were coming home from World War II, they could get 4% mortgages. We never thought we'd ever see those numbers ever. And then in the last few years, we've had 2.5%, 2.75%, 3.5% mortgages, which made it very affordable for people to buy properties. And in the last week, that's pretty much doubled. I think the rate yesterday was around 6.25%, 6.35%, somewhere around there. And that's not necessarily a bad rate, because the first house that I bought in 1977 was 11.5% interest rate. I think my brother bought the next year and it was 17%. My sister bought the year after that and it was 21%. So we're still at an affordable rate, but it has put a little bit of a damper on the market, and it will probably take some of the buyers out of the market because the cost of getting the house that they want will be higher than what it was 4 or 5 months ago. It's been a crazy. It's been a crazy 20th year.
Yeah, and actually putting that in perspective with, the percentages, I had heard before that it was much higher before, but just seeing them side by side, it's really insane how low it got, with 2.5% or 2.75. That's extremely low compared to what some people have gotten 10 times as low as what some people had mortgage-wise in the 70s and 80s. So it's really crazy when you put that in perspective, Even with 6%, as you said, it's not a bad interest rate. It's higher than what it was a couple weeks ago. So I could definitely see how some people might be a little bit, sticker shocked with it. But even then, it's not that high.
Well, it's not. In the great scheme of things, it's not. But it does change the payment. So if you had a client who was marginal at a 3.5%, 3.5% loan on a $150,000 or $200,000 house, and now it's 6%. They may not be able to afford that $150,000 or $200,000 house. May have to work their way down to a 125, or something less. And some people want to do it, and some people, some people don't want to do it. So it's really a matter of what your perspective is and what you feel you can afford. 2021 and 2022. 2021, even though it was a tumultuous year, was a great year for myself in real estate, and a phenomenal year. 2022 started off very strong, and then now it's quieted down a little bit, but there's still a lot of activity in the marketplace. But we still face the same situation that we've had for the last 18 to 24 months, is that we have a lot of people buying, not enough houses to purchase. So it's, the prices are up. I think Southeast Pennsylvania now, the prices are up 15% over the last 2 years.
Yeah, I've heard some pretty crazy stories. My dad is actually a property inspector in this area, and he's seen some houses that will, be sold sight unseen or have, 30 offers on it in a couple days, and just depending on the area in particular, it can really go really fast or even really high. All cash offers coming in from people moving, from these really urban areas out into, kind of more of these rural areas where they can get a little bit more land. I feel like COVID has really changed the perspective for a lot of people of what they prioritize in a home and what they want to have at the house too. A lot of people are working from home now, even after the pandemic restrictions have been lifted, just because they can. I feel like that's really impacted a little bit of how people view what they're going to buy as well, right?
I agree with you, and I think that we found during this pandemic, we'll call it the pandemic, it was almost impossible to get a contractor to do work on your house because they were all booked for people who now couldn't go to the office, had to work at home, so they may have had to renovate a room to make it an office, or they couldn't go on vacation because everything was closed and the restrictions were in place, so they would take that money and put renovations in their house, add a room, put up a garage, whatever, add a deck, whatever it was. So contractors, and stuff were very busy. I think what has changed is a lot of companies have now figured out that they got the same productivity out of their people without having to pay market rents for space to put them in, and so they're rethinking how they want to do. Companies are rethinking how they want to do their business model and how to deal with people. Many companies are bringing people back into the offices, but it's not on a part-time basis. It might be a hybrid schedule of some sort, but there are still a lot of people that are working from home, and companies have figured out that they can cut their costs by having people work at home, and they get the same amount of productivity. So I think we're going to see a metamorphosis of working over the next few years as companies figure out how to deal with this, and then the real estate industry will follow through and help in whatever way we can with that process.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that we're still in the same situation we were before. Just the inventory levels are just not met. They're just not matching the demand right now. We just don't have enough houses to sell. That's not something that can be changed right away, but we have been here for a little bit yet. How long do you think it'll take for us to get to a more healthy level with the inventory? I know some companies are working on building new houses, but that takes time.
Well, there's an issue with that also because raw materials are a problem. You can't get all the raw materials. Right now you can't get appliances. I know that our refrigerator was not working well, and so we decided that let's just go buy it and head off any problems with it, deciding to die in the middle of the night or over the weekend or sometime when we're not there. We ordered a refrigerator. It took 1.5 years to get it because anything with a computer chip in it, they're having problems getting those. And I think it's just getting to the point now where the inventory on those is starting to come around. The problem with not having inventory is people are afraid to put their house on the market because they're not going to be able to find something to buy. And so that's been part of the issue here. We're kind of chasing our tail in this market. But as the interest rates have gone up and less people are in the market to buy, then I think we'll start to see some leveling of that market a little bit. But I think it's going to take anywhere between 6 and 18 months for that to start happening, for the market to kind of stabilize a little bit. And a lot of it depends on what the Fed does with interest rates. We're definitely in an inflationary period. If they overpredict and we go into recessive period, then that changes the landmark also. So for me, just every day, get up, take care of my clients, sell a few houses, go on to the next one.
Absolutely. And you've been in the industry a long time. I'm sure you've met tons of other agents out there and have experienced everything from really great agents to maybe some that aren't so great. What would you say people should be looking for in a good real estate agent, especially if maybe this is their first house, they've never experienced any of that process, they don't really know what to look for? What should they be looking out for when they're picking their first agent?
I think that they need to, everybody is new in the business at some point in time. So there's always going to be agents that have very limited experience. But if they're smart agents, they'll align with somebody in their office, either a mentor or the broker or a team, where they'll get a support group that can help them. And I think that's, for somebody looking to hire a real estate agent, I think they need to look at experience. I would check their referrals and recommendations online to make sure that they're all good. You also have to make sure the personalities are good. It's sometimes you just don't click with a client. The personalities don't match, and sometimes you just have to say, I'm not sure this is going to be a good fit for us. Let me either recommend you to somebody else, or you're welcome to find somebody else to help you. But you need to find an agent that has knows what they're doing, has some experience, is accessible, is available, when you need them, in most cases, is responsive, and is capable of helping you through the process. And like I said, obviously, people are new in the business. That doesn't mean that they can't get the job done. They just need to align with somebody who can help them help their clients. So those are kind of the things that I would say that you need to look for in a real estate agent.
Absolutely. And I love that you touched on, with newer agents and how they can, kind of get involved and start getting clients as well. I feel like that's pretty similar in a lot of industries. Actually, it works very similarly in insurance, where if you have a newer agent, maybe they don't have a lot of experience under their belt, they can align themselves with an agency that does. It really comes down to the team at the end of the day. So if you can find a good team and a good, not just agent, but also a good agency that they're working with, I feel like that can really help the experience of people, buying or selling their first house. I think it's beautiful that you touched on that. With new buyers coming into the market, especially with how crazy things are right now, what would you say is the most common misconception you see from people getting involved and starting with it?
I think there's a couple things that new buyers or first-time home buyers face. I think one of them is they think they have to put lots of money down to buy a house, and there are programs out there specifically for first-time home buyers, new home buyers, where they can have low down payment. They can actually get some grants for help with closing costs. So there are ways to get people into houses that doesn't require a lot of money out of their pocket. Obviously, you have to have a job. You have to have some longevity on your job. You have to have reasonable credit scores to make that happen. But if you have all those in place and you're interested in buying, and you have some patience, because it's going to take a while to find that house, and you may have to put in a couple offers before you actually get a house. But what I tell everybody is, when one door closes, another one usually opens, and it's a wider, nicer, cleaner, brighter door, and usually it works out that way. You don't need a lot of money to get into a house.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful, especially for new people getting in and right now where everybody's looking to buy. I think that's a really good message for new people getting involved. And if somebody wanted to reach out to you because they wanted to help, either buy a house or sell their house in this crazy market, especially as we kind of go forward here into the rest of 2022, what's the best way for them to contact you?
They can contact me by my cell phone or by email. My cell phone number is 610-416-6753, and my email address is edward.cole@edwardcole.realtor, REALTOR.
Wonderful. Well, Ed, I really appreciate you coming on to the show today. It's been a pleasure having you on. I really appreciate your time.
And I appreciate you having me. Thank you. And hopefully we'll talk again in the future.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.